Hello, my name is Wesley Sykes, Managing Editor of Coach and Athletic Director, and today I'm joined by the Vice President of Prevention Education for the U.S. Center for SafeSport, Monica Rivera, to discuss how sports leaders can create abuse-free communities. So thanks so much for joining us today, Monica. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, really appreciate your time here. Now let's dive in. What steps can sports leaders take to create an abuse-free sport environment? I've heard you use the term verbing abuse prevention. So what exactly does that mean?
Yeah, I think too often sports leaders believe that, denouncing abuse is their primary contribution to abuse prevention. And, don't get me wrong, like we need to be denouncing abuse. Obviously, we need to be saying that it's not okay to abuse minors in sport. But we need to be moving beyond that, and we need to be pulling that philosophy into action. So we need sports leaders to be figuring out, how do we take this broader philosophy of wanting to end abuse and implement it on a random Wednesday when they in their spheres of influence. So making decisions about how they're interacting with athletes, how they're interfacing with parents, administrators making decisions about policy. So when I say verbing abuse prevention, it really is taking the belief that we can end abuse and putting it in practice in seemingly small ways. One of the challenges is that some of those seemingly small ways are actually kind of hard to implement. Sometimes it can be really difficult to have a conversation with a coworker who might be, having behaviors that seems problematic. So we try to avoid those situations. But that's where we really need to lean in and verb our abuse prevention.
All right, great. Now, we've heard about the term power dynamics before. Can you provide our audience an overview about what exactly that means and why it's important to preventing abuse or misconduct with young athletes?
Yeah, I love this question because as a subject matter expert in abuse prevention, it does sometimes trouble me how often our analysis or conversations about abuse are really devoid of a power analysis. We need to get much better at looking at the culture of power dynamics with things like race and gender identity and sexuality and position and role and legacy in sport that really manifest then in barriers to reporting. So power dynamics in sport aren't always formal. So obviously you have a coach and an athlete, there's a clear power dynamic. You have an athletic director and a coach, there's a power dynamic. But many of the power dynamics in sport are informal. It's things like reputation, legacy, access to sponsors, access to a coach that then has a really competitive team that has tryouts. And so those are informal power dynamics that then make it really difficult for people to feel comfortable naming when they see something that's wrong or that they think might be wrong. And it's not only that they have a hard time then saying it, they have a hard time doing it when it's early, when there's just kind of those early, I'm not sure about this. We tend to hold back because of the power dynamics. So being able to identify those is really important.
All right. And why are sport leaders such a critical group to engage when working to end abuse in sport?
Yeah, I think the easy answer to this is that they set the tone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously high profile leaders set a tone. But even beyond that, we just spoke about verbing. A lot of times the sports leaders are the ones that have power to implement changes, to implement policies, to encourage discussion or require discussion. They set the tone for what the start of a practice is going to be, and if they're going to loop any of these prevention policies into those discussions. And so I think that sports leaders have such an important role of not only setting the tone, but also then utilizing their informal and formal power to implement some of those protective policies.
All right, great. And our last question here before we wrap up, where can coaches find more information about the U.S. Center for Safe Sport and how to be an advocate for prevention education?
Yeah, we believe that coaches play such a critical role in shifting the culture of sport. Our website, the US Center for SafeSport.org, has a bunch of resources, educational resources, things like toolkits. And those toolkits include discussion guides. We offer you actual questions, what you should be asking, possible talking points, really trying to make such a complicated topic manageable so you don't feel alone in doing this. So check out our website, uscenterforsafesport.org, and there's lots of resources there.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Monica. That's all the time that we have for today. So for Monica Rivera and the U.S. Center for Safe Sport, my name is Wesley Sykes, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.